Alright, complementary circuit board design using Orcad layout, capture and layout. Craig Mitzner, Newness, and we're on chapter 11. Additional notes. This chapter introduces the tools with the capture layout of the design manufacture of the PCB. Some of the tools include the Orcad design suite, while others are completely independent Orcad. The tool of the part of the Orcad or P-Splice. Spectrum of the independent tool discussed here with the Gerber tool, the Microsoft Excel with the CAD drawing tools. Using P-Splice to simulate the transmission line. P-Splice with the chapter shift with the developed P-Splice with the subcircuit with the model with the crate with the new capture with the parts with the simulation capability. The chapter P-Splice is used to simulate transmission lines when used in conjunction with the design equations of the chapter shift with the design. Example of the chapter 9. P-Splice can help with the design PCB transmission lines. Understand transmission lines in general. Certain circuit shown in figure 11.1. You simulate with the high speed digital circuit. It was also the UV generate plots. You explain with the ring in the chapter 6 with the circuit consists of the driver and show the back transmission line simulation circuit. Gate with the output independent of the 10 ohm, 50 ohms transmission line with the receiver. The gate input resistance of 1 kilo ohm with the input capacity of 15 microfarads. P-Spice parts used and the circuits are followed. The V2 is the V-pole for the source library with the driver. The R1 is the analog sort of the resistance output independent of the T1 with the analog with the transmission line. R2 is R analog load resistance. And C1 is the load capacitance. C with the figure 11.1 show with the various reflection coefficients. The impedancy mismatch of the reflection coefficiency. Looking up the transmission line from resistor 1 is the reflection coefficient into the R1 from the T1, and reflection coefficient looking from R2 to T1. To simulate the transmission line with the T1 with the characteristic impedance, but must be specified with emission. Either to transmission delay must be specified by the frequency number of the wavelengths, and must be specified with the transmission delay for digital signals. Either the frequency with the NL for analog, not NL for analog signals. Or simulating digital transmission line with the value of the transmission delay is the same with the propagation type of discussed in chapter 6. This is calculated with the transmission line and found within the table in chapter 6 with the service time of the length of the service microstrip is. And laying out the digital circuit for instance for the digital design example chapter 9. If it's important to know the critical trace length of the trace can be kept short enough for the parts can be placed accordingly with the critical trace length. It is calculated the length of the trace is equal to the rise time over the K times to the trace K, the factor, especially with the ratio of the propagation time over the rise time. Maximum trace length. The recommended is 2. Large value, but the shorter than traces are better. For the ALS family logic rise time is approximately 2 nanoseconds. Using ER transistor resistance 4.2 critical trace length is 73.3 inches. Table 11.1 show the effective K value with the transmission delay for various transmission length lines. Knowing the rise time of the 2 negative nanosecond with the transmission delay with the table 11.1, you P-Splice with the simulate with the various transmission and lengths. So P-Splice simulation shown in figure 11.2 the display. P-Splice simulation settings, and that's an analysis. Simulation settings, dialog box, edit simulation profiles. P-Splice may be noted with the setup at the time. Step time in a large simulation may be unusable, but you do not give the good result of the maximum step-up time of the 1,000 with the total runtime usually produce the satisfactory result with a click OK. Start simulation process with the blue triangle with the menu bar for the rest of F111 and keyboard with the run and P-Splice with the program result of the shown figure 11.3, 11.4, and 11.5. Simulating analog circuit with the analog circuit with the frequency of the tray with the NL length for the trace of the relative of the wave lengths. For the NL length should be a quarter of the quarter length of the trace of the frequency. Determine the wavelengths. You need to know the wavelength. Can calculate the wavelength use. With the propagation velocity, the distance of the time wave of the dielectric the frequency of the wave of the TPD. Propagation time and the distance described above. The 66 megahertz signal travel the same surface as microstrip above, with an example at 4.2 wavelength of the 110.8 inches. The critical length of the carries the analog signal vary depending on the weather reference read. Often decided as a wavelength at 615 or 20 or somewhere in between. If the digital signals are shorter than the traces are better. Using Microsoft Word, the bill of materials generated by capture. The design example dimension for the Excel can be either the bill of materials, but the thing about Excel spreadsheet is that easily modifiable the bill of materials to suit your needs. Export any of the capture part properties from the edit properties spreadsheet. The Excel have the data sorted to extend of the descending order. Any of the headers from the list of the bill of material. For example, you can sort the list of the comp group number, then print the spreadsheet, and then A with the placing parts from the layout. You can also see with the footprint, part reference, etc. Example of that lets you say whether you wanted the chronological list of the component groups while placing on the PCB. First step is to add the comp group property for the bill of the material listing and export with the Excel spreadsheet with the Excel sort with the data outline with the other information, then printing list. Add the comp group property for the bill of materials capture project manager. Select with the design icon, then over the bill of material, then tool menus, bill of materials dialog box display in figure 11 and 16. Add the text comp group header list the comp group combined property. String list, click open on the Excel, select the path file, the name report file, click OK with the example of the bill of materials Excel spreadsheet shown figure 11 and 17. Sorry, 11 and 7. For the bill of materials Excel, select with the list of it, including the header of the data menu, select the sort with the bring the sort of the dialog box shown figure 11 and 7. Using the sort list, you can specify how many how Excel should list the items of interest. You can sort of that are repeatedly the different head of the bill of material that provide a powerful, convenient tool for making sure that you have the correct footprints assigned, etc. for making the material on the net list, beginning with the work layout. Alright, using Spectra Auto Router with layout. Spectra, now called the Algoro PCB router, is shaped based on the auto router that is included with the works and layout. With the Spectra, you use a different algorithm during the routing process. You can usually route the high density board faster and fewer cooling up actions than layout. Use Spectra by itself with the launch it from the layout. They have the two applications tag team and the PCB with on the PCB, figure 11 and 8A show the Spectra looks like if you use it in standalone mode. Figure 11 and 8B show the Spectra looks like if you lose it with a layout. On Spectra, without a layout, and navigate the start with all programs Orcad and 10.5 DM of the Spectra demo with the figure 11 and 9 show the startup window of the Spectra design file. Use the browser below to select the design file, a DSN. If what is different with the capture design file with the channel extension, the show the design example to open one of the design example of the design located with the Orcad tool of Spectra with the common folder for the lesson design. Several more example of design located in the Orcad share Spectral tutorial. If you select the design, you can start Algoro PCB router. You can ignore the do file entries, etc. If you're using the demo version, it will take a few minutes to Spectra search for the license. When it does not find it, click OK with the license arrow box, and click OK with the license not found box. Click OK with the no rules found box. You will end up with the session showing figure 11 and 8 as though. Two appearances of Spectra, standalone Spectra from layout. Then it shows you what you're looking at starting the Spectra Auto Router, which is Algoro PCB router version. Appearance of Spectra is dependent on how it was launched with the tools and same with some of the interest of the Spectra with the layout of the tools we'll discuss from the perspective. To like Spectra from a layout, you will need to have the board design output layout of all portions of the PCB to design with the Spectra and the basically demonstration layout you've used to be set up with the basic board design described by the example of chapter 9, and the Spectra will be the auto route with the board with the basic board set up the task performed in the layout include placing components, setting up the layers, power with the ground plane with the net layer and assignment, the component fan outs all can do with the Spectra as well. Locking power and ground nets is not automatically locked. Enabling all non-power and ground type nets. Launch auto route with the board. A Spectra select the auto menu with the layout. Then shown figure 11 and 10, the auto route Spectra launch, which we got the auto route Spectra launch Spectra. Spectra again, Spectra will look for a license. Click OK with the license arrow box. Click OK the license not found. Click OK the no rules found box. Once Spectra is up and running, you should see that your PC board design layout in the Spectra window. An example circuit is shown in figure 11 and 11. Start the automating routing process. Select the route, the auto route menu, figure 1112, auto route dialog box, figure 1113. Will display to keep the things simple, set to the basic. Enter 25 into the passes. Click OK. Spectra will route the board using the rules imported with the layout of the routing. Resolve this figure 1114. Transfer the board design Spectra back to the layout. Simply click over the Spectra by selecting quit in the file menu. Click for the X button with the upper right hand corner of the corner. In order to transfer the be completed Spectra within the layout SEEs file, save the Spectra's display with the save and quit and shown in figure 1115. And if you are using demo version, you will not be able to save these. This save session file transfer will not be completed. Save session file where save of the board routed with the Spectra will be automatically transferred to layout. For example, figure 11 and 14 shown in 11 and 16. You can then save the design existing file name and the max extension. Additional information on how Spectra is included with the Algoro PCB router user guide, SPUG, PDF located with the Orcad doc folder. As such, one of the few manual routing tips is presented here. Placing parts routing traces are performed for them. Two different window views, two place for the placement. Mode video, play for the mode button located on the left side of the toolbar. Enter the route. The next, select the route mode with clicking the route mode button, also located on the left side of the toolbar. So you have the place mode and route mode button. Move, pitch, pivot, flip, trade, align. To move a part in place mode, click the select component part button, and then click with the move the component button, and then select the component, select it, and click it again. Place with the place component with the shown figure 1117. Route mode board. Click edit route mode. Move the cursor A plus the symbol to have the vertex of the cursor become with the pencil that allows you to select with the wire with the route. Left click the wire with the begin the route. Left click to place the vertex. Continue the routing. Click the routing. Left click on the pad another route. Trace the right click with it, then select done from the pop up. The other manual routing tools are shown in figure 11 and 18. As with the layout, there are many layers associated with the PCB. Unlike the layout, with the use of spreadsheet to access many of the layers, the layers in Spectra with layout, the control panel to display the layer control panel. Click layers button. Separate the grids for the placement routing view. You can control the grids using the display grid. The dialog box selecting display grids, and from the view menu in 11 and 19. Display grid dialog box. Place a grid set with the display grid dialog box visually only with the actual placement of the grids in placement mode, and selecting setup with the auto place. So the desired place grid size placement setup with the dialog box, and then click apply. To actually route grid, select the route mode, select the setup with the auto route with the menu with the dialog box shown figure 1121, shift the wires, view with the grid with their basic Spectra with all of the other discussed here with more information. Spectra, see Algoro, PCB, router, user guide, Spectra's user guides, SPUG, PDF, Algoro, PCB, router, tutorial, Spectra, tutorial, SPTU, TT, PDF, and document folder. Alright, introduction to the Gerber tool. Generated computer-aided manufacturing tool does not use the route, must be either the post-process, with the board design layout with a GTD file, Gerber file, created along with the other Gerber files discussed in Chapter 10. Gerber tool can be opened with operate with a Gerber file. Gerber tool can be only used to work on PCB designs with regard for the aperture, for the composite, the embedded path, the penalization, to name a few. In this section, Gerber tool will be used to demonstrate how to set up a drill file with a CNC machine, how to penalize the PCB design generated from the layout. The demo version of the Gerber tool included with the full version layout, but not with a demo version layout. You can download the latest demo version of the Gerber tool from a wide software website with the Gerber tool. You have the manual layout GTUG is included with both of the demo with the full version Orcad documents folder. Opening layout generated with the Gerber file with the Gerber tool. After you've completed with the PCB design post-processing and layout, you can start with the Gerber tool with the layout going into the main layout session frame. Not design window. Select the Gerber tool. Open it with the tools menu. If you use the demo version layout, start with the Gerber tool with Windows as you normally start the other programs. When the Gerber tool is up and running, open a Gerber design and file with the opening from the file with save several example files and curve the Gerber tool design file with a try Goober 2 GTD on the CD included with the book as you can hear the shown figure 1122. Making a drill file for the CNC machine, drill information included with the drill file, and the DRG file for the generated with the post-processing step layout with the CNC machine specified with the drill file, contains drill information format with the throw hole tab of the file for their program. The drill hole can be generated layout with only the gold Gerber format. Simple, the Gerber tool would be used to convert the throw tap hole for the Exelon format into the drill file. Labor is active with the layer drop down list shown figure 1123. There are the Gerber file located layout generated during the post processing. Now, however, the arrow throw hole tap layer is not listed. Note that the drill layer is not listed either. The basic process is to add the drill layer, make it in an active layer, then import the throw hole tap data into the drill layer. Shows aperture bar layer, X bar, color bar. Figure 1123 Gerber toolbars. Make a drill layer that make the first available empty layer active with selecting it from the layer toolbars. Go to setup layer with the drop down menu, setup layers button on the toolbar with the shown figure 1124 layer, set up the control box shown figure 1125. 1124 shows setup layer tool button on the Gerber button. Then you have your drill layer creation setup in 1125. Then it shows up in the try Gerber, making a layer inactive layer. Layer set up the control box figure 1125. The drill layer must be initially be present on the left hand side of the empty with the name of the box, empty cell, type of the name of the file GRL with the name of the drill layer with the C line 12 with the figure 1125. Hit the enter key with the keyboard to display the layer type. Section lift next lift NC for NC drill to make sure that it is set the visible on. Check marker. You can also change the colors if you want. Click OK to make the drill layer active by selecting the layer selection list. Select the drill layer to make it active. The figure 1126. Once you have the drill layer set up and active, then import the throw hole tap data into the navigatable file. Import drill from the menu bar shown in figure 1127. In the open file dialog box, figure 1128. Make sure that all the file options. While they're option selected, the file the type of the box navigated to folder wherever the throw tap hole files located, select it and click open. Next, you'll need to set up the drill format with the NCI imported data in the dialog box for the post up showing the level figure 1129. Find out what the MN setting to use to open in the Gerber preferences dialog box layout option Gerber settings MN settings. Your drill and mill. Import drill data. Import NC. Gerber tool should match output resolution setting up indicated by the arrow with a click on 1130. Click OK. Back of the design view of the Gerber tool 1131. Verify the drill data was imported correctly, but notice if the drill symbol filled circles crosses through them are located with the correct place. If they're not correct, it will vary obvious for that. The drill holes will be scaled up or down, vary by several factors. You need to undo the import, select the undo with the edit menu with the display with the undo selection in the box with the figure 1132. Select the item that was undo, click OK. You can then repeat the process of the redo with the important steps above. At this point, there is a drill layer hole, the Gerber file, but there's not a Gerber file for it yet. The Gerber drill file, you need the export of the drill layer with the setup of the Gerber drill file, export drill from the toolbar to the export dialog box will pop up showing figure 1133. Although the file name will correct for the output and the report box file, you will need to click with the browse button to make sure that the files go to the folder you want. The default path of whatever the last time export was performed. Also make sure that the drill layer is selected with the proper export with the NC. The drilling data for the format determined by the CNC machine is the format shown in the figure. Example of one of the type. Machine requirements new to the drilling can now be used with the CNC machine. Alright, panelization. PCB boards are too small, but they are not able to be assembled aside over the chain with the process of picking in place with the machinery wave side or side stations. The only way to be able to handle them in the case of to leave them small individual PCBs attached to each other, the large panels called panelization. Rated PCBs can be handled within large units along with them easily mass fabricated populated soldered using standard processes. And the panels are either tab routed or either figure 1134A or the V scored into 1134B, so that when the assembly process is complete with the individual pieces can be snapped apart with the tab routing small slivers over the panel or removed with the router bit, and the individual PCBs are held together with the remaining tab. The V score and the V-shaped grooves are cut part away. Shows Gerber preference, aperture setting, maximum parent, Gerber creation, Gerber size, Y, X, Y's, N block, increment, CFR, each block, upper resolution 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Save Gerber preferences 1130, and then 1131 the design file with the imported drill data. 1132 edit undo. 1133 export the drill size dialog box. Alright, 1134 panelize tab routed and V-scored. Into the panel for the one side of the both panel over the fill to length. The tab routing requires about 100 mil spacing between PC board edge. V-scoring requires about 10 to 20 mils spacing between individual PCB edges depending on the capabilities and preferences of the board manufacturer. Layout does not provide me with the panel PCB with the Gerber tool with the panel of the PCB, the post drop of the PCB, the design layout as normally would. Then start with the Gerber tool, open the GT Gerber drill file, import the drill file with the C with above, install with any required milling instruction. Gerber tool user manual. First step, the define of the panel size. Chapter 4, detail the chain panel sizes of the panel size. The define with the Gerber tool with the film box. Chain with the film box panel size. Choose option configuration. Display with the configuration dialog. Chain with the display with the tab. Figure 1135. Set the X and Y parameter of the film box group. And click OK to enter the 10 film box. And select the film box from view menu. Configuration, we went to display. And we've now changing the film box size is over here. There are two methods of panelization: design, advanced, and simple. The simple method demonstrated here with the Gerber tool, the user man information. Advanced method to panelize the design. Choose tool, panelize simple from the menu of the panelize the dialog box. Panelize the dialog box. Figure 1136. The display of the first simple example set of the parameters shown figure, and there's an image offset of the side of the master board outline plus any extra spacing you want between the boards. You can click the preview button to see what the panelized board will look like and click OK. After you click OK, the Gerber tool will ask you to define the boundary for the area of the panel line with the lower left-hand corner of the window of the passing panel line with the enter for the first part will be displayed. Left click the original board outline shown figure 1137. The Gerber tool will be then add the second point with the display panel line with the enter the second point. Click the other end of the board outline shown in the figure. Gerber task asks Gerber tool asks the document panel line view parameters. You can select yes or no. Doesn't matter for this example. The panel finished panel with the shown figure 1138 only the basic of the panelizing board were presented. Here, please see the Gerber's tool user manual for additional detailed bond contracting board manufacturer find out their requirements needed for panelizing boards. It shows the panelized dialog box, selecting board outline to panelize first and second point. The panelized board design. Alright, you can save the new panelized design as a Gerber file, but the Gerber files need to be updated. Order fabricate board for the update of the Gerber files. Export the Gerber from the file menu with the export of the dialog box. Select the data format at that location with the new Gerber file. Save the export of the dialog with the demo version. Alright, we're getting about down to the last of the using the integrated printed circuit board 73151 LAN pattern viewer. The integrated printed circuit board LAN pattern viewer is an indispensable tool designing footprints. The viewer provide the drawing dimension of hundreds of footprints that are based on the established standards. You can download freeware version software of the integrated printed circuit board website ipc.org. The homepage page looks at the knowledge page The homepage looks like the Knowledge tab, then click the PCB Tools Calculators on the next. Click the IPC 73151 LAN Pattern View and Tools Incorp link. For the next page, you'll click the IPC 7351 LAN Pattern Viewer version XXX zip and located latest version. Once you've downloaded and installed the viewer, you can immediately run the application without restarting the windows. You can first open the viewer, then be presented with the application window shown in figure 1139. Click the Master Library Search button at the beginning of the footprints. First step to select the library search library selection list. Figure 1144 libraries include with the default. You can download some of the additional free libraries and for free libraries, integrated printed circuit board website with the PCBlibrary.com, SMN 7351A publication library, include the viewer content for input for the most discrete integrated circuit packet, which is on the market, nominal outline pad, dimension footprints, and tighter silencer, the smaller frequency features, or SML 7351A publication library footprints with larger most features of the SMM 73051A public library, both which can be downloaded from the website. Once you select the library first, search modes will be listed under search categories. Click plus box to expand category figure 1140 regardless of which. Selecting a search category. You select with the search same information contained in the search result. For the most part, footprints are listed differently with each of the category. Most noticeable the difference of the standard name of the category. Rather than listing footprints of the package name, they are listed in industry standard documentations like GEDE, CMO 187 and mill preference XXX. Once you found the package name, description, name of the search categories, double-click with the package display within the variation search results window. Double-click on the land pattern display of the package view window shown figure 1142. Select component setting land pattern statistics and tabs along with the view radio buttons. You can select. Find every detail about the package dimension, including the few suggested pad size, spacing, silkscreen size, etc. Alright, using CAD tool with the 3D model of the PCB. Before you send the Gerber file with the board house and manufacturer, you might want to know if the board is physically compatible with the mounting hardware. Will it and fit? When you can export the design information layout, the max file with the DX file, which can open with the most popular CAD drawing packages. Graphically speaking, there is a tremendous amount of the information in the max file, with a lot of which does not need to be exported into the drawing file. Select the layers to plot. Use the layer selection list. Any layers you see with the display will be plotted. Export the PCB design to a DX file for the layout with a print plot from file menu. Display print plot dialog box. Select DXF radio button. Choose it and name it. Click OK. There it is. There's all there is to do. And then show the print box DXF modder. Digital design board form chapter 9 shown figure 1144 only the board outline with the place outline default global layer, place outline global layer, and place outline top layer. Active figure 1145 show the 3D rendered model of the same information. Use the popular drawing program. The colors were identified with the CAD program. Dimension and other manufacturer information can easily be added to the drawing file to fully describe the manufacturer's assembly instructions. Flat board representation and layout. 1145 3D model CAD model of the PCB. And that completes the book, and we're in Appendix A, Layout Technologies, and we're just going to call that the read of the completed printed circuit board design using Orcad layout and capture and layout. Craig Mitzner, and that was Newness Publisher.